If you are making $100,000 a year, or even $200,000, and you still feel like you are just one major emergency away from a complete financial disaster, you are not alone. But you are also not a victim. You are exactly where the system wants you to be. Society has conditioned you to chase a specific version of success, a version that requires you to constantly empty your pockets just to prove you are doing well. They call it the normal standard path to a good life. I call it the ego tax. And it is the single biggest reason why the middle class is slowly being wiped out and kept on a perpetual hamster wheel of working and spending. I did not build my wealth by doing what everyone else considers normal. Normal means financing a car you cannot afford. Normal means taking on a massive mortgage for a house with rooms you never use. Normal means drowning in credit card debt just to maintain the illusion that you are successful. The truth is, the banking industry, the car dealerships, and the retail giants do not make their billions off the poor, and they certainly do not make them off the truly wealthy. They make their absolute fortunes off the middle class. They prey on your desire to look rich. They weaponize your ego against you. There is a fundamental difference between looking rich and actually being wealthy. Looking rich is loud, it is flashy, it requires constant maintenance, constant upgrades, and a constant stream of your hard-earned income flowing out the door to pay for things that drop in value the second you buy them. Being wealthy is quiet, it is boring. It is about keeping the money you make and letting it work for you. But nobody wants to do that because quiet wealth does not get you compliments at a dinner party or validation on the internet. So you pay the ego tax. You pay a premium on every aspect of your life just to signal to people you do not even like that you are doing fine. Today, we're going to tear down that illusion. I'm going to show you the 5 normal habits, the 5 specific ego taxes that are absolutely destroying your chance at financial freedom. If you are doing even one of these, you are willingly signing a contract to work until the day you die. It is time to wake up. The very first thing almost everyone does when they get a promotion, land a new job, or finally hit that 6-figure mark is head straight to a car dealership. They convince themselves they have earned it. They tell themselves a reliable used car is no longer good enough for their newly elevated status in life. So they sit in a leather chair and sign a piece of paper committing to a $700, $800, or even $1,000 a month car payment for the next 5 to 7 years. This is the ultimate ego tax. You need to understand that you are no longer paying for transportation. A $10,000 used car gets you from point A to point B just as safely and effectively as a $70,000 luxury SUV. What you are actually financing with interest is the brief moment of validation you feel when your neighbors see it parked in your driveway or when a total stranger glances at you at a red light. You are paying a massive premium to project a fake image of success while simultaneously destroying your actual net worth. The automotive industry has successfully brainwashed the middle class into believing that having a car payment is just a normal, unavoidable monthly utility bill like water or electricity. It is absolutely not. It is a wealth-destroying anchor tied directly to your ankles. The second you drive that shiny new status symbol off the lot, it loses 10 to 20% of its value. You are paying high interest on an asset that is actively plummeting in worth every single day it sits in your garage. This is the textbook definition of a liability, yet the middle class treats it like a hard-earned trophy. Let us look at the devastating real cost of this normal behavior. If you take that average $700 a month car payment and instead invest it into a basic S&P 500 index fund, assuming an average historical return, in 10 years, you would have over $130,000. In 20 years, that number explodes to nearly $500,000. When you finance a luxury car to look rich today, you are literally stealing $500,000 from your future self. You are trading decades of financial independence and peace of mind for heated leather seats and a shiny hood ornament. The truly wealthy, the people who actually have money in the bank and do not just pretend to on the internet, drive their cars into the ground. They buy reliable vehicles, often slightly used. They pay in cash, and they keep them for a decade or more. They understand that a vehicle is simply a depreciating tool, not a rolling billboard for their fragile ego. If your car payment is preventing you from maxing out your investments or building a solid emergency fund, you cannot afford that car. You are just paying the ego tax to mask your deep financial insecurity. The second massive ego tax the middle class happily volunteers to pay is the illusion of the dream home. From the time you are a child, you are fed this narrative that the ultimate marker of arriving in life is buying the biggest, most expensive house the bank will legally allow you to finance. You get that pre-approval letter, you see a terrifyingly high number, and instead of walking away, you treat it like a target. You buy a house with 4 extra bedrooms that stay completely empty 360 days a year. You buy a formal dining room you use twice a decade. You buy into a prestigious neighborhood just so you can casually drop the zip code in everyday conversations. You are not buying shelter or comfort at that point. You are buying an identity, and the ego tax on that specific identity is financially paralyzing. Society constantly tells you that your primary residence is your greatest asset. It tells you that renting is just throwing money away. This is one of the most dangerous financial lies ever sold to the working public. When you stretch your monthly budget to the absolute limit to buy a massive house, it stops being an asset and immediately becomes a liability, a literal anchor weighing down your entire financial future. You become what is known as house poor. You have beautiful quartz countertops, a huge backyard, and a manicured lawn, but you are quietly sweating over the price of groceries and dreading unexpected bills. Every single paycheck you earn is immediately devoured by the mortgage, the exorbitant property taxes, the homeowners association fees, the inflated utility bills to heat empty rooms, and the endless, unpredictable maintenance costs. A house is a hungry beast that never stops demanding your cash. The middle class sinks every ounce of their liquidity into a pile of bricks and drywall to impress friends and family members who do not actually care about the square footage. They lock themselves into a 30-year financial prison just to maintain a traditional image of domestic success. The wealthy understand a very different reality. They know that tying up all your capital in a single, illiquid, non-producing asset is a terrible financial strategy. Real estate can be a fantastic investment, but only when it pays you. Your oversized, heavily mortgaged primary residence does not pay you. It actively drains you. It traps you in a job you might hate because you have a massive payment due on the first of the month. You cannot easily relocate for a better opportunity, start a business, or take a calculated risk because you are chained to a roof that might need replacing. If you are sacrificing your ability to invest heavily in cash-flowing assets, stocks, or businesses just to keep up appearances in a fancy subdivision, you are losing the game. You are paying a premium for a zip code while quietly mortgaging your freedom. The third trap is insidious because it disguises itself as a reward for your hard work. It is the convenience premium, otherwise known as lifestyle creep. The moment your paycheck goes up, your tolerance for any minor inconvenience completely disappears. Suddenly, making your own coffee in the morning feels like a chore beneath your pay grade. So you drop $7 a day at a drive-thru. Cooking dinner after a long day at the office becomes unthinkable. So you effortlessly tap your screen and pay a 30% markup, plus delivery fees, plus a tip, just to have a lukewarm meal handed to you at your front door. You upgrade to premium ride shares instead of taking standard ones. You subscribe to boxes that deliver clothes you do not need and food you could buy yourself. You justify this behavior by telling yourself that you work hard, that your time is valuable, and that you deserve a little luxury. You are lying to yourself. You do not value your time. You are actively selling your future time to buy fleeting moments of laziness today. This is a microscopic ego tax that bleeds you dry a few dollars at a time. The middle class equates outsourcing basic adult responsibilities with having made it. You think acting like you have a personal chef, a private shopper, or a chauffeur makes you look successful, but the math behind this constant convenience is absolutely brutal. You are not buying back your time to build a business, read a book, or learn a high-income skill. You are buying back your time to sit on the couch and stare at a screen. When you spend $30 on a delivered meal that would have cost you $8 to make, you are not just losing $22. You are losing the massive compound interest that $22 could have generated over the next 3 decades in the market. Let us translate this into the only currency that actually matters, which is your life energy. If you make $30 an hour after taxes and you casually drop $45 on a food delivery order, you just traded an hour and a half of your finite life on this planet for a single forgettable dinner. You are trading your youth, your physical energy, and your future freedom for the temporary feeling of being served. True wealth is built on relentless discipline, not the relentless pursuit of comfort. The wealthy become wealthy by fiercely optimizing their cash flow and directing it toward income-producing assets, not by throwing money at every minor friction point in their day. They understand that every dollar saved and invested today buys them actual, permanent freedom tomorrow. Stop telling yourself you deserve to be pampered while your net worth is practically zero. You do not deserve a premium coffee or an overpriced delivery. You deserve to be completely financially independent, and you are currently sacrificing that ultimate freedom for the sake of mere convenience. The fourth ego tax is perhaps the most brilliant psychological trap ever designed by the modern financial system. It is the absolute delusion of the credit card rewards program. If you are sitting there right now, swiping a piece of plastic or tapping your phone for every single purchase you make because you are chasing cashback, airline miles, or hotel points, you probably think you are a financial genius. You think you are beating the system. You tell your friends about the free flight you just booked or the statement credit you just earned, genuinely believing that the multi-billion-dollar banking industry is somehow losing money on you. This is the arrogance of the middle class on full display. The reality is that credit card companies employ the smartest behavioral psychologists on the planet, and they know exactly how to manipulate your ego. They give you a metal card that feels heavy in your hand. They give it a prestigious name like Platinum, Reserve, or Executive. They charge you a ridiculous annual fee just for the privilege of holding it, which you happily pay because it makes you feel important when you toss it on the table to pay for an overpriced dinner. But here is the brutal truth they do not want you to realize. Study after study has proven that when you pay with credit instead of cash or a debit card, you spend anywhere from 12 to 20% more on average. You add an extra appetizer, you buy the more expensive shoes, and you throw useless items into your digital cart because the pain of parting with your money is entirely disconnected from the transaction. You are not physically handing over your hard-earned cash. You are just moving digital numbers around. So you end up spending an extra $2,000 a year on garbage you do not need just to earn back $200 in points. You are literally stepping over dollars to pick up pennies, and you are feeling incredibly smug while doing it. This is not a game you can win. Look at the skyline of any major city in the world. Look at the tallest, most opulent skyscrapers. They are all owned by banks and credit card companies. They did not build those massive monuments to wealth by giving you free vacations. They built them off the backs of millions of middle-class consumers who thought they could outsmart the house. Even if you pay off your balance in full every single month, which statistics show most people do not consistently do, you are still falling victim to the induced spending. And if you are carrying a balance and paying 24% interest while chasing a 2% cashback reward, you are actively participating in your own financial destruction. The truly wealthy do not build their fortunes by hoarding credit card points. They build wealth by strictly controlling their cash flow, acquiring income-producing assets, and aggressively avoiding consumer debt. If you want to stop being a pawn in their game, you have to stop playing by their rules. Put the metal card away and start feeling the actual weight of the money you are spending. The fifth and final trap is the most toxic, the most expensive, and the most deeply ingrained in our modern culture. It is the ultimate ego tax, the desperate, exhausting need to keep up with everyone else on your social media feed. In the past, keeping up with the Joneses just meant making sure your lawn looked as good as your neighbor's. Today, you are competing with the curated, filtered, mathematically optimized highlight reels of 8 billion people on the internet. You are buying designer clothing with logos plastered all over your chest so you can act as a walking billboard for a luxury conglomerate that does not care if you go bankrupt. You are booking extravagant vacations you absolutely cannot afford, putting flights and hotels on high-interest payment plans just so you can post a perfectly angled photo to prove to people from your high school that you are winning at life. This is the peak of financial stupidity. You are spending money you do not actually have, to buy things you do not actually need, to impress people you do not even like. And the cruelest irony of all is that nobody is actually impressed by you. When you drive past in your financed luxury car or walk into a room carrying a $3,000 bag, people are not admiring you. They are projecting themselves into your position, imagining themselves with those items. You are literally going broke just to be a temporary prop in someone else's fantasy of wealth. You are trading your future financial independence for a few dozen digital likes and fleeting moments of hollow validation. You are paying the highest possible tax on your own deep-rooted insecurity. If you want to know what real wealth looks like, look closely at the people who actually have it. They practice stealth wealth. They are invisible. The millionaire next door does not wear clothes screaming with designer logos. They do not need a flashy watch to announce their arrival, because their net worth provides all the validation they will ever need behind closed doors. They understand that money is a tool to buy freedom, options, and peace of mind, not a tool to buy the fake admiration of strangers. The moment you stop caring about what other people think of your lifestyle is the exact moment you start building real, undeniable wealth. You have to kill your ego before your ego completely kills your financial future. Stop trying to look rich. Looking rich is the absolute fastest, most guaranteed way to ensure you stay permanently poor. So, here is the bottom line. Every single day, you are making a choice. You are either choosing to build your own wealth, or you are choosing to build someone else's. When you pay the ego tax by financing cars, buying massive houses, paying for unnecessary convenience, playing the credit card game, and trying to impress strangers on the internet, you are actively deciding to hand your future over to the banks and the corporations. You are trading your ultimate freedom for a fleeting feeling of being important. It is time to drop the ego. Looking rich is the absolute fastest way to guarantee you will stay poor. Real wealth is not what you see. It is what you do not see. It is the investments compounding in the background, the emergency fund sitting safely in an account, and the ultimate power to wake up every single morning and do whatever you want with your time. If you want that kind of life, you have to completely reject what society calls normal. You have to be willing to live below your means today, to drive the boring car, to live in the modest house, and to ignore the noise of everyone else showing off their debt. You have to embrace being abnormal, live like no one else right now, so that later you can truly live like no one else. Stop trying to look the part and start actually doing the work. If this completely changed how you view your money, make sure you subscribe and share this with someone who needs a wake-up call. Your financial freedom begins the exact moment your ego ends.